A Slip of the Keyboard, Collected Non-Fiction, by Terry Pratchett. Read by Michael Fenton Stevens. Foreword, by Neil Gaiman. I want to tell you about my friend, Terry Pratchett, and it's not easy. I'm going to tell you something you may not know. Some people have encountered an affable man with a beard and a hat. They believe they have met Sir Terry Pratchett. They have not. Science fiction conventions often give you someone to look after you, to make sure you get from place to place without getting lost. Some years ago, I ran into someone who had once been Terry's handler at a convention in Texas. His eyes misted over at the memory of getting Terry from his panel to the book dealer's room and back. "What a jolly old elf Sir Terry is," he said. And I thought, No, he's not. Back in February 1991, Terry and I were on a book signing tour for Good Omens, a book we'd written together. We can tell you dozens of not only funny but also true stories about the things that happened on that tour. Terry alludes to a few of them in this book. This story is true, but it is not one of the stories we tell. We were in San Francisco. We had just done a stock signing in a bookshop, signing the dozen or so copies of our book they had ordered. Terry looked at the itinerary. Next stop was a radio station. We were due to have an hour-long interview on live radio. "From the address, it's just down the street from here," said Terry. "And we've got half an hour. Let's walk it." This was a long time ago, best beloved, in the days before GPS systems and mobile phones and taxi summoning apps and such like useful things that would have told us in a moment that no, it would not be a few blocks to the radio station. It would be several miles, all uphill, and mostly through a park. We called the radio station as we went, whenever we passed a payphone, to tell them that we knew we were now late for a live broadcast and that we were, promise, cross our sweaty hearts, walking as fast as we could. I would try and say cheerful, optimistic things as we walked. Terry said nothing, in a way that made it very clear that anything I could say would probably just make things worse. I did not ever say, at any point on that walk, that all of this would have been avoided if we had just got the bookshop to call us a taxi. There are things you can never unsay, that you cannot say and still remain friends, and that would have been one of them. We reached the radio station at the top of the hill, a very long way from anywhere, about 40 minutes into our hour-long live interview. We arrived all sweaty and out of breath, and they were broadcasting the breaking news. A man had just started shooting people in a local McDonald's, which is not the kind of thing you want to have as your lead-in when you are now meant to talk about a funny book you've written about the end of the world and how we are all going to die. The radio people were angry with us too, and understandably so. It's no fun having to improvise when your guests are late. I don't think that our 15 minutes on the air were very funny. I was later told that Terry and I had both been blacklisted by the San Franciscan radio station for several years, because leaving a show's host to burble into the dead air for 40 minutes is something the powers of radio do not easily forget or forgive. Still, by the top of the hour, it was all over. We went back to our hotel, and this time we took a taxi. Terry was silently furious, with himself mostly, I suspect, and with the world that had not told him that the distance from the bookshop to the radio station was much further than it had looked on our itinerary. He sat in the back of the cab beside me, white with anger, a non-directional ball of fury. I said something hoping to placate him. Perhaps I said that, well, it had all worked out in the end, and it hadn't been the end of the world, and suggested it was time to not be angry any more. Terry looked at me. He said, "Do not underestimate this anger. This anger was the engine that powered Good Omens." I thought of the driven way that Terry wrote, and of the way that he drove the rest of us with him, and I knew that he was right. There is a fury to Terry Pratchett's writing. It's the fury that was the engine that powered Discworld, and you will discover it here. It's the anger at the headmaster who would decide that 6-year-old Terry Pratchett would never be smart enough for the 11+. Anger at pompous critics, and at those who think that serious is the opposite of funny. Anger at his
Sample complete. Ready to continue?